Buckle up and travel through our portal into a new world where interdimensional warriors battle mythical beasts in this movie, Monster Hunter. A weathered ship braves the elements, breaking through the sand, while a woman on board observes the surroundings through her binoculars. Zooming in, she focuses on a sinister tower where lightning strikes ominously. The camera reveals an elderly man flipping through a book displaying an image of the tower. The ship continues its course towards it, trailed by a monstrous beast, but one warrior remains focused on sharpening his blade. Suddenly, the ship begins to creak, catching everyone off guard. Without warning, their vessel comes under attack by Diablos, the horned subterranean monster pursuing them. The crew members are targeted, and the older man, the admiral, rushes to the ship's wheel in an attempt to stabilize it. Chaos ensues, propelling the hunter into the air, separating him from his team. The ship carries on, leaving him stranded on the ice-like sand. On Earth, United Nations vehicles traverse rocky terrain as part of their security operations. Captain Natalie Artemis, a U.S. Army Ranger, receives a distress radio signal from a team of soldiers reporting an incoming storm and zero visibility. The call abruptly ends with a chilling scream. Her concentration is interrupted by her marshal, a fellow soldier accompanying her in the desert. He informs her that they may have found the missing Bravo team. Quickly organizing her team, she leads them in the indicated direction. Along the way, they encounter peculiar markers and share a strong sense of camaraderie. Upon reaching their destination, they discover the remnants of the Bravo team's trail and halt to investigate. Suddenly, they witness a menacing storm approaching, similar to the one mentioned in the distress signal. Acting swiftly, they retreat to avoid its wrath. Captain Artemis touches her wedding band, and another secures an identifying necklace around his leg. Preparing for the worst, they find themselves engulfed within the fury of the storm, surrounded by relentless lightning. The surrounding markers, adorned with inscriptions, suddenly illuminate, revealing their true purpose. It becomes evident that the storm has pulled the soldiers and their vehicles into a portal leading to the new world. Once they emerge from the portal, the soldiers are left bewildered, attempting to comprehend their surroundings and their current location. To gain a better vantage point, Artemis instructs one of the soldiers, Axe, to establish an observation post on a nearby sand dune. Although their vehicles remain functional, the GPS and other communication tools have been rendered useless by their unexpected voyage. Artemis makes the decision to rely on analog methods, using the position of the sun to navigate their way back to base. An eerie scene of charred remnants, both of the missing soldiers and their vehicles. Desperately seeking answers, they stumble upon large glass shards and spent bullet casings, but find no trace of clues linking to the horrific massacre. With their morale bolstered by an uplifting army song aimed at fostering unity. Meanwhile, the hunter, the solitary shipment, spots the approaching vehicle from a distance, positioned amidst a rocky crevice. Their astonishment grows as they realize they are surrounded by the colossal, fossilized ribcage of a giant creature. As the menacing Diablos draw near, the hunter, observing the group, fires a warning signal. Unfortunately, the squad remains oblivious to his intentions and mistakenly opens fire on him, halting only upon Artemis' command, as she discerns that the residue left behind is merely chalk. Diablos advances with unyielding force, prompting the team to receive orders for retaliation, firing upon the monstrous creatures while swiftly maneuvering away from its path. However, the beast, impervious to bullets and grenades, unleashes its might, overturning a car and mercilessly eliminating two squad members, Stealer and Axe. Artemis takes charge, commanding the remaining soldiers to fall back and flee as the Diablos relentlessly pursues them. To divert the creature's attention from the comrades, the hunter skillfully launches an arrow. Although its impact proves minimal, the Diablos relinquishes its pursuit only when it becomes unable to reach the soldiers who have taken refuge within a nearby cave. Amidst the chaos, Dash, a courageous female soldier, succumbs to panic and requires firm commands to remain alert and resolute. While Artemis provides guidance to her team, she falls victim to an onslaught by a pack of monstrous spiders known as Nursilla. Paralyzed by their venomous injection, she becomes immobilized. Regrettably, the team is forced to leave Artemis behind, their lives hanging in the balance. Firing shots relentlessly, they struggle to survive, with the hunter offering support despite its limited impact on the overwhelming odds they face. Tragically, Marshall falls victim to the ferocious assault, but Dash and Lincoln manage to escape into the sanctuary of a nearby cave. Artemis awakens within the sinister confines of a Nursilla lair, confronting the looming presence of the grotesque creatures before her. Artemis gathers every bullet she can find and employs a flare to light her path. Along her escape, she discovers Lincoln in agonizing pain, infected by Nersilla's spawn. Despite his pleas for her to leave, they confront a colossal Nersilla, enabling their escape. However, it ensnares her, prompting her to utilize a bullet as a projectile, allowing her to break free and survive. Overwhelmed by the fear of infection, she frantically examines herself and notices more Nersilla lurking nearby, confined to their lair and unable to venture into the sunlight above. Employing the gunpowder from a bullet, she sprinkles it onto the bite and ignites it in pain to disinfect and prevent further spawn. Artemis manages to ascend the rocks, a solitary figure above ground. Noticing a stack of flat pebbles, she tosses one down to ascertain the dangers lurking in the sand below. It agitates the Diablos, drawing it out. While traversing between the rocks, she stumbles upon a wreckage of ships, hoping to find drinking water on board, but is met with disappointment. However, she unexpectedly encounters the hunter, and after a fierce confrontation, he incapacitates her. As night descends, they witness the crumbling rocks below as more Nersilla emerge from their hiding places. The hunter leads her to safety, a shelter for the night, forcing Artemis to remain seated while he quenches his thirst, surrounded by the echoing cries of monsters in the distance. Urging her to maintain silence, the hunter begins crushing herbs to create medicine for his wounds, while Artemis surreptitiously frees herself from her binds under the cover of darkness. The following morning, the hunter ventures outside to investigate the rumbling near the tower. Upon his return, Artemis, now liberated, restrains the hunter in her stead. She helps herself to his water and provokes him by hurling his belongings. Incensed, he lunges at her, initiating another intense skirmish that unfolds throughout their surroundings, culminating in a perilous tumble. Just as the hunter slips into a hole leading to the Nersilla lair, Artemis acts swiftly, rescuing him in the nick of time before the creatures can reach him. Reluctantly, the two agree to cooperate. Communicating through gestures, Artemis shares her chocolate with the hunter, and in return, he offers her water. Then he guides her to witness the origin of the storm and gestures towards the lurking Diablos in the sand expanse. The hunter discloses that in order to safely traverse the desert and reach the tower, they must vanquish the Diablos. Artemis belts out a resounding song, drawing out the Nersilla, while the hunter lies in wait, disabling its stinger. Their plan succeeds, and in the sanctuary of their shared cave, they forge a bond as the persistent Nersilla desperately tries to infiltrate. United, they concoct a strategy to reach the tower and return home through the portal. The hunter trains Artemis, imparting his expertise in wielding his unique blade weapons. Working in unison, she assists him in setting a trap for the Diablos, utilizing Nersilla venom to bring about its demise. However, the enraged creature catches up to them in a fit of fury. Halting momentarily, they devise a daring final plan, with the hunter serving as bait this time. He skillfully shoots an arrow into its eye, while Artemis inflicts further wounds with well-aimed gunfire from her machine gun, followed by a hand missile. Seizing the opportunity, the hunter mounts the beast and strikes it with his venom-laced weapon, but the monster retaliates, knocking him unconscious. Undeterred, Artemis dashes towards the creature and she climbs atop it, driving the weapon deeper into the Diablos. The attack proves successful, with Artemis delivering the decisive blow, but the hunter suffers grave injuries. Resourcefully fashioning a makeshift stretcher, Artemis dutifully carries him across the desert throughout the night. The hunter experiences hallucinations in his weakened state, while Artemis erects a survival tent, tending to his wound and administering him life-saving medication. The duo emerges from beneath the sand and continues the remainder of their journey on foot. Eventually, they arrive at an oasis teeming with grass-munching, tortoise-like dinosaurs known as apseros. They hunt and roast their prey, relishing a shared meal that brings a sense of relief. As night falls, the hunter begins with a prayer, but their tranquility is shattered by the appearance of a fire-breathing wyvern known as Rathalos. The creature soars overhead, causing the apseros to stampede. Artemis and the hunter are then rescued by a group led by the Admiral, who was seen in the opening scene. In a twist of events, Artemis attempts to express gratitude, but is struck unconscious. Upon regaining consciousness, she finds herself observed and taunted by the group members. Seeking freedom, she asks the hunter to release her, but he leaves her behind. Undeterred, breaks free herself. In her wanderings, she chanced upon the presence of a cat-like creature known as Palico, who serves as the cook. Subsequently, the hunter guides her to the admiral, who elucidates that the Sky Tower was erected by an ancient civilization to facilitate interdimensional travel, with the monsters serving as its protectors. With the portal now open, the new world faces vulnerability and imminent danger. Entrusting Artemis, the admiral requests her assistance in slaying the Rathalos in exchange for aiding her return home. Agreeing, Artemis and the crew embark at dawn. Together, they commence the arduous ascent toward their destination, reaching the vicinity of the tower as night descends. Artemis realizes that the tower itself is the catalyst behind the storm, affirmed by the admiral, who confirms that it also serves as a portal to her world. The ominous Rathalos is flying above the crew, and the admiral, asking Artemis to prepare herself, reminds her that the beast is the weakest before it breathes fire. They lie in wait in silence for it to show itself, and it breathes fire on two members, killing them in a blaze. The beast walks up to Artemis to fire its wrath on her, but is distracted by the admiral lighting up fire towards it, so it breathes fire on him instead. Using their weapons, all members of the crew do their best to fight the mighty beast as the surrounding markers light up. In the ensuing battle, Artemis falls through the portal, returning to her world, with the military rushing onto a chopper and rescuing her. However, the portal does not close in time, and the Rathalos emerges from it and begins wreaking havoc on Earth. Tragically, the helicopter crashes, and the accompanying military force struggle to halt the monster's rampage. Surviving the crash, Artemis gathers her resolve to confront the beast head-on as it relentlessly destroys another military aircraft. Displaying its sheer force and vigor, leaping forward, she employs her string arrow to climb atop the creature, inflicting a wound by dragging a dagger across his tough hide. As the Rathalos opens its mouth to breathe fire, she seizes the moment and shoots a flare into its gaping maw. Overjoyed at the apparent victory, Artemis prematurely celebrates, but to her surprise, the beast rises once again. Nevertheless, she manages to temporarily impede its movements, allowing the hunter to slip through the portal and deliver a fatal blow. Approaching Artemis, the admiral tosses her a weapon, only for another airborne monster, a black dragon known as Magala, to emerge. The admiral notes the perpetual threat of monsters traversing the open portal to Earth. The trio courageously leaps into action to confront the emerging threat. Palico, the cat-like companion of the admiral, arrives to lend aid in the battle against Magala. Meanwhile, an enigmatic cloaked figure silently observes the fierce clash from the tower's pinnacle. Enraptured by this stunning Comrade in Arms video? Encourage us with your invigorating comments, hit the like button, and subscribe for more such mind-blowing content.